Bueno, no sé si funciona la traducción simultánea. Espero que funcione la traducción simultánea. Tenéis que conectar eso. Yo cambio ahora a inglés, pero Celestino va a hacer su presentación en español y creo que es muy interesante que la escuchéis. Bueno, iniciamos esta sesión de tarde y yo le he pedido a Rina Latalu, la vicepresidenta de ICOMOS, que nos diga unas palabras de buenas tardes y empezamos rápidamente la sesión. Así que, sin más, simplemente le doy la palabra a Rin.
Muchas gracias. Thank you all. It has been a very nice half of the day that we have seen here, and my main impression is that concrete unites people. It's a very good subject to showcase. And I repeat what I said in the morning, that ICOMOS is extremely proud of the possibility to be part of this project, and thus to enhance our possibilities to influence the universal understanding of the importance of modernism and concrete architecture. It is something that really unites us globally. We can have special fields of like Soviet modernism, which is my background coming from Eastern Europe, or the architecture in Americas or India or elsewhere. So it's something that really matters for us all. And I was very much impressed already from the beginning of this day, and I'm looking forward for tomorrow's interventions on real results, how to promote and how to restore and maintain the heritage made out of concrete, because we very often have the projects that are targeted only on awareness raising, but I think it's a very, very good step forward that we have really real results how to take care of this. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to explain the program for this afternoon. We have a little change. First of all, Docomomo is going to present the 100 of the 20. They are going to be presented by Celestino García Braña and by Susana Landrove. This is more or less half an hour, and then we will go to the round table. The round table will be 10 minutes intervention, and we have four interventions. And we are going to change the order, so Miguel Revuelta, the president of the Fundación González Vías, is going to intervene in the first place. So, well, thank you, and we are going to start. So, take the floor, Susana, Celestino, and I recommend you to activate the translation application, because Celestino is going to do the presentation in Spanish.
Celestino will be giving you a short talk on concrete, and then I will be showing you the 100 from the 20th webpage. So Celestino, go ahead. Celestino is the president of the Iberian Docomomo Foundation, professor at the University of La Coruña, and he will be giving some words on concrete.
Buenas tardes. Gracias por la oportunidad de poder elogiar algunas obras de hormigón y intentando una tarea imposible, seguramente, que es la de vencer los cálidos efluvios de las bodegas González Vías, con una visita enormemente agradable. Yo decía antes, un poco ignorantemente, que las bóvedas de Torroja habían desplazado el interés con respecto a las bodegas del 19. Después de haber pasado por ellas, me quedan dudas. En cualquier caso, felicitaciones por el hermoso patrimonio que tenéis y la enorme responsabilidad de cuidarlo. Bueno, el hormigón armado ha tenido la virtud de replantear, a través de la materialidad, a través del cálculo y a través de la puesta en obra, la eterna relación que hay, como todos sabemos, estrechísima, entre arquitectura y construcción. Quizá venga a cuento recoger una frase muy famosa. Sí, aquí. ¿Está? ¿No?
¿Cuál es la tuya?
Ni idea. A ver.
¿Cómo la has llamado?
He llevado una síntesis.
¿La suya era?
Una síntesis.
Una brevísima síntesis. PowerPoint, presentación Cádiz, esta.
Un momentito. Que lo vea. Sí, sí.
Bien, estaba a punto de decir que me parecía oportuno para significar la importancia del hormigón en la construcción del entorno en el que habitamos, recordar una famosísima frase que conoceréis todos de Heidegger, cuando decía construyendo habita poéticamente el hombre sobre la tierra. Es decir, construir no significa solamente una funcionalidad, no significa solamente crear espacios habitables, sino útiles, sino también fundamentalmente darle un sentido poético. Y la importancia del hormigón es que, al igual que en otros momentos la construcción en piedra o la construcción en ladrillo o en hierro han sido capaces de resolver todos los problemas que al hombre, a la humanidad se le presentaban, también el hormigón ha sido capaz de afrontar todos los problemas, tanto aquellos que requieren, digamos, la primacía del cálculo, la primacía de la puesta en obra, la primacía de lo tecnológico, como también aquellas experiencias que han sabido aprovechar las capacidades poéticas del hormigón. Bueno, veis que, no sé si lo habéis visto, pero lo titulo o lo subtitulo una brevísima síntesis, porque solamente se trata de poner el acento en algunas de esas 100 obras significativas del siglo XX ejecutadas en hormigón. He entreverado algunas otras para mostrar que esas 100 son muy significativas, pero podían ser 200 o podían ser 300 por esa capacidad fantástica que el hombre ha tenido al descubrir el hormigón. Un hormigón que, como bien se decía esta mañana, ya conocían perfectamente los romanos, que ha demostrado su capacidad de resistir el tiempo y que a partir de un momento clave, allá por mediados transcurridos unos años del siglo XIX, el químico Vicat había conseguido dar con las fórmulas, incipientes todavía, pero suficientes para ver cómo funcionaba ese conglomerado de agua, cales y arenas. A partir de ese momento, el hormigón iniciaba el camino hacia la omnipresencia, por una cuestión fundamental, y es por la facilidad de construir con hormigón en todos los lugares de la tierra. Bastaba tener unas piedras adecuadas, bastaba triturarlas y bastaba conocer las composiciones químicas, las debidas proporciones, para que el hormigón estuviera en condiciones de resolver todos los problemas constructivos que se le presentara. De ahí su éxito, de ahí su omnipresencia en todos los territorios del mundo, y también de ahí sus inconvenientes, porque, hay que decirlo, uno de las frases muy repetidas probablemente injustamente, pero con algunos visos de verdad, se ha hormigonado el mundo. Y eso ha adquirido un sentido peyorativo del cual es necesario separarse, es necesario dejarlo a un lado para que la construcción sea construcción poética en aquel sentido que planteaba Heidegger. Hay 3 puntos clave o 3 maneras clave en la que el hormigón, bueno, 3 que digo yo, cualquier otra persona dirá 4 o media docena. Pero a mí me parece que hay 3 aspectos clave que sintetizan toda la labor del hormigón. La primera, entender la estructura como punto de partida. La segunda, entender que el hormigón está al servicio de unas necesidades previas. Y una tercera, que podría ser la dimensión plástica, la dimensión, digamos, artística del hormigón como elemento de construcción. La primera imagen que tenéis ahí es uno de los ejemplos que se pueden entender de esta visión de... La segunda, esta segunda imagen tiene que ver con el segundo aspecto, el hormigón para resolver necesidades previas. Luego hablaré de ella. Y la tercera, el hormigón como expresión plástica. Ahí tenéis unos dibujos de Santelía, el futurista italiano, en el que trata de poner de manifiesto cuáles eran las imaginaciones formales que él entendía con posibilidades de ejecutar en el hormigón. Iba mucho más allá de lo que en su época se ejecutaba, pero, sin embargo, han sido anticipadoras de muchas de las construcciones que se han ejecutado con hormigón. Refiriéndome a la primera, el hormigón, la lógica de la fascinación y el cálculo. Este es un mercado que está entre las 100 obras, está en Breslavia, se hace en 1906. Una de las primeras obras en las que el hormigón refleja esa capacidad estructural para cubrir grandes espacios con mucha eficacia constructiva. Bueno, pero esta obra tenía un problema fundamental, que era cómo presentarse en sociedad. Y el hormigón no había adquirido la capacidad para presentarse en sociedad. Había que envolver en ropajes más o menos historicistas porque la sociedad de aquel momento no concedía capacidad al hormigón para expresarse con toda su naturaleza. Necesitaba el disfraz, como lo necesitaron las estaciones de ferrocarriles de mediados de 50 años antes, envolver en ropajes históricos la gran ingeniería del hierro que estaba detrás. Sin embargo, 5 o 6 años después, en 1911, Max Berg construye también en la ciudad de Breslavia, el Hall del Centenario, esta magnífica estructura de hormigón, donde ya la presentación en sociedad se hace, digamos, con un grado de sinceridad constructiva más abierta, más identificada. He traído esta imagen porque me parece significativa de lo que significa este mundo de la arquitectura. En la foto en blanco y negro, la estructura en el momento de su construcción. La fotografía al lado está hecha hace 2 años. Bueno, ¿qué significa comparar estas dos fotografías? Significa una cuestión muy importante, y es entender cómo las arquitecturas de hormigón tienden a identificar estructura y arquitectura. No hay nada que diferencie a las dos imágenes, en blanco y negro o en color. Todo lo que está en blanco y negro está en color. Todo lo que estaba en el momento de la construcción es lo que podemos ver ahora. La identificación entre el acto de construir y el hecho arquitectónico no tiene ningún intermedio. Pura y dura la estructura, pura y dura la arquitectura. Bueno, un poquito después, 20 años después, escasamente, Freixenet y esta estructura de hormigón en el mercado de Reims. Años 1922, 1923, 24. Bueno, aquí la estructura da un paso, por decirlo de algún modo, hacia la liviandad, hacia el menor material posible. Estas bóvedas apenas tienen un grosor de 7 centímetros. La estructura, el cálculo, ha ido afinando sus posibilidades, ha ido buscando la eficacia máxima y el hormigón se ha ido adelgazando, reduciéndose a lo estrictamente necesario. Bueno, por curiosidad y también por querencia, este mercado es el mercado de La Coruña, hecho por un jovencísimo arquitecto, Rey Pedreira, otro no tan joven, y que construyen este mercado en La Coruña en esos años. Bueno, este mercado ha dado mucho de sí, podríamos poner el ejemplo en Matosinhos, en Portugal, o en la ciudad de Santo Domingo, donde un ingeniero dominicano estudia con Freyssinet y cuando vuelve a Santo Domingo construye el famoso mercado modelo. Es decir, la lógica de la estructura, la identificación entre arquitectura y modelo se ha hecho tan exacta, tan precisa, que si se quiere hacer un mercado, casi resulta inevitable ir a Freyssinet y copiar, adaptando al lugar lo que el ingeniero francés había puesto de manifiesto. Bueno, las láminas de hormigón juegan un papel fundamental y en este sentido el hipódromo de la Zarzuela es un ejemplo también de esta rigurosidad, de esta precisión constructiva. En la imagen de la derecha se ve perfectamente cómo es la sección constructiva, la sección que podríamos ver en los planos. Ahí está nítida, clara, explicando perfectamente cuál es y qué papel juega cada una de esas formas. Aquí la forma no se busca, la forma es resultado de un proceso mental en la que se busca el modo más lógico de articular unas formas con otras. Pierluigi Nervi en Roma, que da lugar a este espacio tan singular, tan asombroso, en el que el rigor constructivo está plenamente presente. Un paso más y Freyssinet descubre el hormigón pretensado. No traigo ninguna obra de Freyssinet, están entre las 100, pero sí esta, que también está entre las 100, que es el Centro de Investigaciones Hidrográficas en Madrid, de Miguel Fisac. Interesante ver cómo la pieza clave es esta, una pieza única que resuelve todas las necesidades constructivas y que se dibuja, se diseña, se concibe de tal manera que puestas una al lado de otras y con el postensado posterior permiten resolver las grandes luces y permiten lograr ese espacio con esa iluminación tan ajustada, con esa iluminación tan facilitadora del centro de trabajo que es ese espacio. El hormigón al servicio de las necesidades previamente planteadas. Bueno, esto es muy conocido, obviamente. Para quienes no estén familiarizados con este mundo, decir que esta pequeña casa de apenas 11-12 metros de fachada, que está en la calle Franklin en París, es el punto de arranque de toda la arquitectura de hormigón que, con cabeza, con sentido y con una orientación no imitadora de las construcciones en piedra, plantea una edificación donde hasta ese momento se construía con muros de carga y en este momento se resuelve una estructura en la que se ve perfectamente cómo en la planta aparecen los pilares nítidamente marcados, lo cual posibilita una distribución muy libre de tal modo que se pueden ajustar con muy pocas dificultades el funcionamiento interior, ya que todo ha quedado reducido a unos soportes, y lo que es tan interesante como ese sistema, el hormigón, permite cambiar por completo las fachadas. Fijaros en las casas que están al lado, cuánta diferencia hay con la que se construye nuevamente, y permite también, en este dibujo de la izquierda del todo, permite también modificar la sección. Es decir, la estructura de hormigón ha permitido de un solo golpe modificar la planta del edificio de viviendas, modificar su fachada y modificar su sección, dando lugar a las famosas cubiertas planas y ajardinadas, que después serían un elemento clave en la arquitectura de Le Corbusier. Bueno, sigue Perret en esta iglesia, de la cual solamente voy a poner, bueno, no sé qué pasa aquí. Este interior en el que la luminosidad, la transparencia, pone a prueba toda la capacidad arquitectónica del hormigón. Pilares, bóvedas y los muros transparentes están totalmente resueltos en hormigón. La Haya, bueno, toda esta parte es muy conocida. No es tan conocida la iglesia de San Joseph en La Haya. Hormigón que resuelve todo el lenguaje constructivo de los diferentes elementos de la fachada, y sobre todo hormigón que resuelve este espectacular interior, donde la poética del hormigón adquiere, a mi modo de ver, una expresión verdaderamente conmovedora, a la altura de las mejores catedrales góticas. El hormigón como elemento plástico, en este caso lo que ocurre ahí, en esa presa, es en Asturias, Grandas de Salime, y de qué modo aquellas imágenes futuristas que había puesto al principio, de algún modo, vuelven a aparecer aquí ahora construidas en hormigón. Esos son los volúmenes de las compuertas de la presa, con esos volúmenes de los que tanto se ha escrito, de clara inspiración en Mendelssohn, y que expresan toda la rotundez y toda la capacidad expresiva del hormigón. Voy a saltarme esto por recordar el gran convento de la Tourette de Le Corbusier, con qué libertad se apoya en el terreno, de qué manera los elementos plásticos, tanto de formas como de texturas, adquieren una importancia significativa en este gran edificio de Le Corbusier. Todos los elementos están ejecutados con hormigón, todos ellos se pliegan a las necesidades de la arquitectura para expresar espacialmente lo que significa un monasterio, y al mismo tiempo también lo que significa la presencia del hormigón en este espacio eclesial, o en este otro tan íntimo y tan recogido donde los dominicos dicen sus misas. Voy a saltar un poco porque me están avisando de que falta tiempo, o se me acaba el tiempo. Bueno, este elemento no muy conocido porque ha desaparecido es el pabellón electrónico de Le Corbusier en la feria de Bruselas. Cuando la Philips le encargan un edificio, dice, no voy a hacer una fachada para la Philips, voy a hacer un poema electrónico. Y entonces hace esta propuesta en la que, partiendo de aquella idea de una botella o un estómago, va construyendo con una estructura de estas características para rematarla con esta imagen en el que el interior está resuelto con hormigón proyectado y el exterior está resuelto con estas superficies hiperbólicas que pinta en color aluminio y que se construyen postensándolas después. Tuvo muchos problemas constructivos, pero ha sido el inicio de esta fórmula constructiva que ha dado obras tan significativas como la ópera de Sydney. Este es el interior, una foto recuperada de lo que ocurría en ese interior, en el que sonido, luz, música y arquitectura se ligaban utilizando el hormigón como elemento fundamental. Bueno, quiero pararme aquí, y con esto termino, porque habla del hormigón como material precioso, del hormigón capaz de reducirse a formas mínimas y ser trabajadas como si de una pieza de orfebrería se tratara. Bueno, esto es el cerramiento del cementerio de Altívoli, y donde un personaje importante del lugar, el señor Brión, amigo del arquitecto Carlo Scarpa, gran empresario, cuando fallece deja dispuesto que él y su mujer y algunos parientes próximos sean enterrados aquí, en un lugar modestísimo, como veis aquí, y donde Carlo Scarpa crea esta parte de aquí, es el cementerio del pueblo, y aquella otra parte es todo lo que es el complejo sepulcral de la familia Brión, con tres partes importantes. Allá arriba una capilla de meditación, lo que veis en el ángulo, las tumbas de los Brión, y aquí abajo del todo la capilla. Pongo la imagen de la derecha para demostrar fehacientemente cómo toda la construcción está sujeta a unos módulos muy estrictos. La geometría como elemento capaz de unificar toda esa gran extensión de casi 2.000 metros cuadrados. Bueno, la entrada, la tumba que hemos visto, aquella que está aquí a la derecha, esa forma tan querida del yin y el yang de inspiración japonesa, los recorridos tenebrosos que hablan de el paso por la vida, la llegada a la muerte, toda una reflexión no solamente desde la óptica de la cultura cristiana, sino también de las culturas orientales, que es lo que realmente es el tema fundamental de este espacio sepulcral. Y aquí está quizá el punto central, en aquel sitio. Aquí se ve los dos sarcófagos de Honorina y de Giuseppe Brión, y quería pararme, esta imagen está puesta para explicar de qué manera Scarpa trabaja como una pieza de orfebrería, como una escultura, toda esta capilla. Todo está resuelto con una modulación de 5,5 centímetros y sus múltiplos correspondientes. Y a partir de ahí, el primor con el que Scarpa trata de llevar el hormigón no solamente como símbolo del siglo XX, de modernidad, sino también el hormigón como cualidad expresiva, como cualidad escultórica. Esas son las dos tumbas principales. De esto se puede hablar muchísimo rato. Esta es la zona que cubre los espacios sepulcrales, la capilla y el interior de la capilla, donde el trabajo del hormigón, como veis, adquiere una expresividad y adquiere unos niveles de belleza y de sentido poético que nos hacen olvidar la rudeza del hormigón. Es el llevar, por eso me interesa en poner aquí y con esto terminar, llevar la rudeza del hormigón a expresión delicada del modo de construir. Si volvemos a recordar la frase de Heidegger, construyendo poéticamente el hombre habita la tierra, construyendo poéticamente el hombre establece un diálogo entre la vida y la muerte. Y el hormigón es, en este caso, el instrumento fundamental. Nada más. Muchas gracias. Muy bien.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Y le doy a... ahí. Okay. Well, I'll skip to English so that you get a bit of both and you don't have to have your ears hurting for longer. Well, the purpose of Docomomo Iberico in this amazing project of InnovaConcrete was to transmit what Celestino has just been telling you about, but to a much wider audience. It is true that we all know about that, and it's been said before, that in spite of the relevance of the concrete constructions of the 20th century, in spite of the achievements that have been possible thanks to concrete, technical, social, artistic, and also in spite, or maybe because of its ubiquity, 20th century concrete buildings have not always been appreciated. Society does not question the necessity to preserve construction from past times, such as Roman remains, cathedrals, Renaissance castles, palaces. Not only people have been taught since an early age about their historical context, but they also know about how these constructions were built and what they represent in their context. We picture them when thinking about important events of history. They have become the scenario of movies, of films, of games. But these buildings from past times, they did not become monuments at once. The perception of these as heritage was the result of a process. So in some sense, heritage is something that society builds when agreeing to the importance of certain manifestations of the past. And of course, the 20th century heritage is not alien to this process. It will be subject to an integration in heritage that will happen with time. So the InnovaConcrete selection of 100 earth-faced concrete buildings from the 20th century on which we have worked tries to contribute to this process. It constitutes a tool to explain and to transmit to society why concrete architecture is important and why some of its constructions maybe should be preserved for the future. These 100 buildings exemplify many aspects that are important when talking about concrete. Some are related to technical questions, others to history, others to geography, and others are related to important social or economic issues, some to aesthetic or artistic aspects, and some finally to environmental or adaptational concerns. They are all of them are outstanding examples of architecture and engineering, but they were not chosen as individuals. They were chosen as a matrix that would help transmit and explain why a much wider group of buildings will probably become, in the future, the heritage of the 20th century. The way these buildings are presented in the 100 from the 20th database answers to this premise. Very often in bodies such as Docomomo that are in charge of distinguishing buildings that should be preserved, we are always, and it is the way it should be, we think of the quality, the importance of these buildings, but we don't think so much, or our focus is not so much pointed to the other side, to how people do understand these buildings. In this project, what we have done is the exercise of the effort to explain or to see these buildings from the other side, to explain to society why these buildings are important. So these 100 buildings are not the top 100 buildings in concrete. They are a selection of buildings that will help explain certain aspects that are vital for the 20th century. aspects that are related to technical aspects, that are related to economical aspects, territorial aspects, historical aspects, economical, many different criteria. And those buildings do represent these aspects that we try to transmit. In each of the buildings, we try to explain certain qualities, and we do not we try to think of society as a body that can understand a bit issues that are more complicated. So what we did is that we tried to explain every technical aspect in the building. The slides that we just see here will show you the way you can access these buildings with the map, which is easy, with the slides on the side, which will tell you information on the buildings. But also we didn't want to skip the matter and the most important matter of this project, which was explaining all these technical aspects. There is a glossary that will explain all the uses of concrete, of the technical aspects, and not thinking that society will not be able to understand them, but making an effort to make this knowledge that we have available for everybody. In the 100 from the 20th century, we have tried to bring concrete closer to society. We have given the tools for an argumentation for heritage preservation, because we think that the appreciation can only come through understanding, and only then it will become a pleasure, and only then it will be educational, which is what heritage is for. Here you can see some of the criteria. We try to, in terms of scope, to cover all the countries from the EU. We try to cover all the different periods of the 20th century where concrete was present. We try to reflect all the typologies and uses, the uses, construction methods, and the construction systems, the heritage values of these buildings, and the conservation and social awareness aspects to it. Here you have all the, I won't go through it because I know we don't have much time left, some graphics of all the buildings in different countries, all the different uses that we analyzed and tried to make present in this selection. Also, all the concrete use, construction methods, and construction systems. And here I have to thank the Torroja Institute, and I should have thanked ICOMOS for also contributing to this selection of buildings. What you see is the result of a very difficult equilibrium between having every country present, every concrete use, construction system present, every important engineer, every important architect, every typology, all of them present in different buildings, and then explain in different forums, in different aspects on the web, so that everybody could build with their own thinking, their own discourse, just like Celestino was able to do with the selection of the 100, that any person in society would have the tools to understand what is at stake with concrete and how slowly we will be part of a heritage that deserves to become heritage, and surely will with time. Thank you very much.
Well, we continue now with the round table. The round table is going to be focused in the InnovaConcrete social targets and results that we have got. But first, we like to... ¿Tú tienes una presentación? ¿No?
¿Perdón?
¿Tú tienes una presentación? ¿No?
¿Cómo?
¿Tú tienes una presentación? No.
No he preparado nada. Desgraciadamente, perdón, ¿eh?
No te preocupes, era por si lo tenía. Antes de ir a la mesa redonda, pues queríamos darle la oportunidad.
Tiene una chuleta y se me ha perdido. ¿Sí?
Sí. We want to give the opportunity to Miguel Revuelta, the president of the Foundation of González Vías, to talk about the strategy and the policy in their company to to maintain the heritage, the big heritage that they have, and to take advantage of it also as an economical activity. No? So, Miguel.
Well, ¿quieres que en inglés o en español? ¿No?
Si te sientes más cómodo en español tienen hablo en español, sí.
En español, no sé, vamos. Si
Sin
queréis
problema.
hablar en inglés, pero no sé, me
problema.
pedís que hable de la gestión, aprovechamiento económico del patronato industrial y arquitectónico nuestro. La verdad que no sé si no hemos tenido la oportunidad de hacer una visita sobre la bodega esta, pero esta bodega fundamentalmente fue la labor de un hombre, una persona que se llama Manuel María González, que en el año 1875 empezó a exportar 5 botas o no sé qué, y al final del siglo había construido todo este complejo. Al final del siglo, cuando él muere, sus hijos, ya incluso su hijo mayor, cree que vino la filoxera, que esto se había acabado, que no sé qué. Y entonces, desde entonces hasta el año 60, desde 1860 que se construye todo esto, hasta 1960 que se construye la gran bodega de Tío Pepe, no se hace una gran obra arquitectónica, fundamentalmente porque no había dinero. O sea, al final se construye cuando hay dinero y cuando al final también me habláis un poco de cómo nosotros hemos sacado provecho de la arquitectura y del este. Y creo que desde el primer momento ya el fundador vino la reina Isabel II y vio que él no tenía un sitio apropiado para agasajarla, y construye la bodega de La Concha, que la conocéis, ¿no? La bodega de La Concha, y además es pionera en todo el tema de hierro, ¿no? Él va a lo más moderno. Él hace una estructura que además la concibe él, porque hay unas cosas curiosas con el constructor. Le dice, el constructor le presenta una cosa con una columna central. Le dice, mire usted, yo no quiero esto, no quiero una columna central, quiero un espacio para yo poder agasajar. Y al final ya estamos hablando de que no estamos haciendo una arquitectura para industrial, sino también estamos metiéndonos en lo que al final llamamos el enoturismo. Como estamos aquí no estamos haciendo un espacio, pues no sé, con el tiempo, al cabo de los años, cuando ya hay otra circunstancia buena, de repente dicen, vamos a hacer otro gran edificio. Y ese gran edificio, antiguamente se hablaba que la bodega de La Concha se hizo por Eiffel, siempre fue, Eiffel. No se hizo. La cuestión es que se le encarga a Portilla y White en Sevilla, y no sé qué. Dice, cuando él le dice, no quiero la columna central, bueno, yo tengo que encargárselo a un ingeniero extranjero. Pues hemos intentado a ver dónde entra Eiffel, pero en fin, fue Joseph Cuban quien diseña el tema y lo hace, ¿no? Pero luego ya los nietos del fundador después dicen, bueno, queremos hacer otra gran bodega que además tenga la fuerza de la Concha. Y entonces dice, bueno, pues se lo encargamos al ingeniero más importante que hay en España, que es Eduardo Torroja. Eduardo Torroja, además, ya estaba planteado el tema de hacer una bodega como súper nueva, ¿no? O sea, hacer 3 pisos de bodega, ¿no? Porque era un poco, la verdad que creo que nosotros hemos tenido suerte de estar aquí como en esta ladera, ¿no? Y entonces quizás la bodega nuestra es más bonita porque porque está más en esta ladera. Entonces había la posibilidad de hacer esta bodega en 3 alturas, ¿no? Bueno, ya era un tema que estaba planteado y no sé qué, se le encarga a Eduardo Torroja hace esos croquis estupendos y luego, pobre, fallece, entonces ya su hijo, José Antonio, junto con los arquitectos locales, los de la cuadra, hacen este edificio tan importante que habéis visitado, ¿no? Que creemos que creo que es tal. Luego vuelve otra vez otra crisis del sector. Pues estoy hablando un poco de... Y alguien me preguntaba, ¿y quién es? ¿Cómo somos? No sé. Nosotros somos González y Vías, una familia González que se junta con un señor Vías, que bueno, era la mitad de esta sociedad ha sido de unos señores González y otro señor Vías. Al final de 1980 los Vías se van del tema y al final, afortunadamente, los González, que yo soy González por mi madre, digamos, segundo apellido, y todavía todos los González somos dueños de esta bodega y estamos muy contentos de haber mantenido todo este tema. Luego, ¿qué pasa? ¿Por qué no construimos más? Porque el negocio aquí se acaba, entonces hay que irse por ahí. Tenemos cosas en Chinchón, en Rioja, no sé qué, estamos ya hasta en Chile, no sé qué, lo cual, afortunadamente, gracias a eso también estamos bien, quiero decir. Y ahí hacemos arquitectura también. Pero a finales del siglo XX, antiguamente aquí había una cosa que se llama las visitas. Todo el mundo venía aquí, visitaba la bodega y le daban un botellín y no sé qué, no sé cuánto. Y eso al final costaba dinero. De repente, no porque era mi hermano, dice, esto hay que darle la vuelta. Tenemos que hacer un negocio de que la gente venga aquí y hacer una actividad lúdica y gracias a eso hemos podido mantener todo esto. Tenemos aquí 7 hectáreas. En donde estamos nosotros tenemos 7 hectáreas y vamos poco a poco arreglando todo esto, y estos espacios son nuevos, empiezan otras cosas, otros eventos. No estoy hablando y siento no hablar mucho de la arquitectura del hormigón, pero quizás lo que me habéis pedido es por qué nosotros, gracias a que vengamos y a que hagamos eventos, podemos mantener nuestro patrimonio arquitectónico. Y gracias a eso es lo que hacemos. O sea, no sé si os parece o queréis que os meta. Yo soy arquitecto también y hago, pero lógicamente lo celestino ha hablado y yo no sé de temas de hecho. Se nos está cayendo y unas cosas que quiero que alguien se nos está cayendo un poquito, que me digan cómo lo hacemos de la mejor manera, ¿no? Pero, en fin, no sé si a vosotros qué es lo que queréis que os cuente, pero al final creo que es interesante el tema de que hemos cambiado no hemos cambiado, o sea, al final, además no queremos cambiar. Aquí viene un camión con botas y no sé qué, y al mismo tiempo vosotros con un autobús, ¿no? Y entonces creo que eso nos hace que vivamos y que sigamos con este tema, ¿no? Hacemos bodas, hacemos catas, hemos empezado con un hotel, en fin, esto es lo único que os quería. En el tema del hormigón, bueno, tenemos en la gran bodega esta, tenemos también, luego después, pues José Antonio Torroja también, conocéis, ¿no? A la salida de Jerez, tenemos la bodega de las copas, que tiene una gran fachada, que la verdad que me parece interesante, y yo también ya estoy intentando cambiarle un poco el hecho, porque está ahí como obsoleta. O sea, cuando ya se hizo para tal pues este verano se hicieron ahí el Festival Tío Pepe y no sé qué, ¿sabes lo que? Entonces, gracias precisamente porque la fuerza de la arquitectura. O sea, es lo que nos da a nosotros nuestro sitio y nuestro tal. No sé si es lo que queréis oír de mí, pero si queréis alguna cosa me preguntáis, ¿eh?
Está perfecto. Muchas
¿Eh?
Muchas gracias, Miguel. Ha sido un placer venir aquí a la bodega y estoy seguro que más de uno vendrá en otra ocasión a disfrutar no solo de la arquitectura, sino de la cultura del vino. Bueno, a continuación comenzamos la mesa redonda. Empieza Isabela Pirillet. Isabela, can you come here? Isabella is restorer and conservator at Archaeological Fine Arts and Landscape Superintendency for the province of Chieti and Pescara. It belongs to the Ministry of Culture of Italy, and she has done a great job in the InnovaConcrete project, and she's going to present a little bit about what he has done. So, yes.
Que gana un minutillo porque está como pesa, está tardando en cargar. En copiar. Es que es la presentación la que estamos copiando aquí.
That's the presentation. ¿No? Okay.
Simplemente eso, que un minutito mientras se copia. Que está ahí.
Bueno, Isabela, yes.
Sorry, but this presentation, I don't speak me, but my colleague Stefania, and 5 minutes.
Okay, so you have a video or
A video.
Okay. I thought you were. You can try to speak Italian, and the translator. I'm sure Okay. No, it's just finishing. She's going to present a video, and we are charging the video, about the works that have been done in Torre de la Piliña.
Was this one, and then, okay.
Everyone, this is we are partner.
Pero no sé,
Está habiendo problemas.
¿le da? Venga.
No lo tiene.
¿De nuevo?
Everyone, this is Melandris
No.
from
Yes.
They're leading the
No.
nation and activities as the work package dealing with the conservation approaches. Unfortunately, I have not been able to travel due to the contingent situation, therefore I am pre-recording the presentation that will be on concrete cultural heritage from memory to present time, the path of Torricella Piliña case studies. This presentation has been prepared along with Maria Isabella Pieriget from the Ministry of Culture that has worked on the monuments that are based on Torricella Piliña. So let's get started with the brief presentation on Torricella Piliña and the importance of the monuments that are located there, why we have decided to include them as case studies of InnovaConcrete project, and citizen engagement activities that we have performed. Torricella Peligna is a really small town in the province of Chieti, in the Italian Abruzzo region, and it is located in the mountain and 1,000 meters above the sea level. During the Second World War, Torricella was fall in the Gustav Line area, and this was a defensive line that divided Italy in two main parts by using natural obstacles with the aim to delay the advance of Alliance forces. After the great slaughters that unfortunately happened there, the citizens of Torricella Peligna decided to build two monuments, the Angel and the Tower, both case studies of InnovaConcrete project, with the aim to commemorate and never forget the fallen of both the wars. So, as anticipated in the previous slides, the war memorials located in Torricella Peligna are two of the case studies of the InnovaConcrete project. We have the Angel, which is more similar to an obelisk with a cement statue, remembering the fallen from the First World War, while the Tower, which is more like a building, a lighthouse, commemorates those who have lost their lives during the Second World War. It's useless to say that these two monuments have, till nowadays, a real impact on the local community, on the citizens, and this is why we have decided to investigate the memory that is being perpetrated within the local community, and we have performed some interviews with representatives from the local population. So just some brief notes on the two monuments. The Angel is the monument that is dedicated to the fallen of the First World War. This war memorial is located at the center of the Remembrance Park, on the top of a hill close to the historic town. The monument at the central and highest position acts as the central element of the park. The celebration was a moment of popular aggregation, and still today the monument recalls the sacrifice of local people during the world wars. After a few years, the monument was damaged by a hurricane, and then was also bombarded during the Second World War. A reconstruction intervention was carried out in the early 50s, involving the local administration committees to remember always the horrors of the wars and the human sacrifice that have been perpetrated. So, the second case study is the tower, which is located in the highest point of Torricella Peligna, a position chosen with great significance, because different buildings that were present in this square were completely destroyed during the war due to the violent bombing. The Tower War Memorial was designed in the 1950s by Walter Sibona to commemorate the 120 civilian victims who fell during the Second World War. In the original project, the monument was initially 6 meters taller than the current one. For the construction of this monument, indeed, a city committee was formed to raise funds, as for the Angel. The poor possibility, though, prevented the construction of the monument in all its height and was built 6 meters lower than the original project. The shape of this war is particularly important because it's similar to a lighthouse, as I said some slides before. It has a high symbolic meaning because, like the lighthouse, illuminates during the night with its lights reminding those who lost their lives in battle. Given that we also had the possibility to interview the nephew of Walter Sibona, the architect that decided to construct the tower, we had the possibility to exchange opinions and views, as well as some stories, such as the one that, thanks to the InnovaConcrete project, some missing documents on the tower constructions were found again, because we had an exhibition in Torricella Peligna 2 years ago in summer, and the nephew came to visit the exhibition and in the end thought that he had these missing documents that were retrieved and were given to the archive state to be archived. So this is also one of our achievements, thanks to the interviews and the activities that have been performed in Torricella Peligna. So in the next slides, you can see some historic pictures that we have retrieved from the archives, just to briefly highlight when the tower and the angel were built and the inaugurations, as well as some historic pictures, as said, that have been done in the two sites. You can see here the designs of the construction. Some, as said, were missing and then found again, thanks to the InnovaConcrete project and the interaction with the nephew of Walter Sibona, the constructor of the tower. Here again you can see some other historic pictures, some inaugurations. As said, these two monuments had a real importance on the local population, and they still have nowadays. Here you can see some pictures of the inauguration that were given in November 2019. And here some social engagement activities, because the Torricella Peligna local community has been really involved in the activities, also the technical ones that have been performed in the two monuments located in the two parts of the city. You can see here some tweets, some messages of the population that were given on the InnovaConcrete social media, as well as some tweets, some posts that have been sent to the local administration or the InnovaConcrete partners, such as the Ministry of Culture. We had a really interesting and fruitful confrontation with the local population, and thanks to the restoration works that have been performed, we had the possibility to have many feedbacks from them, also concerning the history. So some memories that have been retrieved by the elderly ones, and some opinions that were given by the youngest. And this has been a really nice interaction with the population, because they were really involved in the work that have been performed. They felt the monuments themselves and were involved in the activities that were being performed, given that these are recognized as monuments with deep significance for the local population. As said, these monuments still have an impact also on the younger generation. Finally, you can see in these slides the inauguration pictures that have been performed this summer, when the full restoration works with all InnovaConcrete products have been presented to the local community. So there was organized an event for restitution to the citizens of the work that was performed. So you can see some pictures of Isabella presenting the work that has been performed, and we actually got really good feedback, a really good interaction with the citizens that asked for so many information, that retrieved some other memories that were basically lost. So we have started early this year to collect all the memories, all the testimonies from the local community, because we wanted to record them, given that it is quite important the output that the InnovaConcrete project had on the local community. Why? Because basically Torricella Peligna said is a really small town, and the outputs have been felt a lot, because they feel the monuments as their own. Therefore, they are interested, they are engaged in all the activities that have been performed, and they recognize that these have happened thanks to the InnovaConcrete project and the activities that have been performed. Again, above the technical activities, we also had a lot of social engagement activities that we performed, such as an exhibition during the Puteca Aperte event back in summer 2019, as well as some interviews that have been performed within different moments in the past year. I'm going to show you some of them in the next slides, just for you to realize the importance that these activities had on the local community. So, for what concerns the interviews with which we collected all the memories from several representatives of the society, we firstly engaged with the institutions, so with the public institution. You can see here that there are some interviews that have been retrieved from the full video. institutions have been fundamental for the citizen engagement in relation to the work developed within InnovaConcrete. We have collected testimonies that you can see here from Karine Ficca, the current Torricella Peligna mayor, and Tiziano Tetti, the former Torricella Peligna mayor and the city councillor for public work. I'm going to show you what has been retrieved from the full video, just some highlights on the memories and the testimonies from those that we have heard.
Tutte le vittime militari di tutte le guerre sono per Torricella Peligna assolutamente importanti. Perché? Perché indicano un passato che non deve più ripetersi. L'abilità soprattutto di ricercare, di approfondire la storia dei nostri monumenti.
Sentono la propria partecipazione perché sentono propri anche i monumenti stessi che hanno accompagnato la nostra infanzia, la nostra...
So here we have heard some extracts from the full video from the institution's representatives. We can go on.
Militari, tutte le guerre.
Che casino.
Well, I think yes, I think we can.
In these slides, we are going to
can-
hear some testimonies from.
Well, we will share the video, so if somebody wants to see it completely, it can be seen. So, thank you, Isabella.
Sorry.
Don't worry. Sorry, it's well Don't worry, Isabella. Well, the fact is that this round table was prepared by Stefania Melandri, but she has a problem and have to go back because a problem in the airport. So we are improvising a little bit. So the next presentation is going to be done by Gema Ramirez, and also I will ask Blasek if you have your presentation, because we don't have it here. Do you have it in a pen drive? Okay, we will just
Important representatives.
just give it to him, and you put your presentation, and you will do it after him, no? It's the one that... Well, the next presentation is going to be done by Gema. Gema belongs to the University of Cádiz, and she's going to talk about the role of tourists, a tool to improve society awareness of the 20th century concrete-based cultural heritage. So, Gema, you have 10 minutes. I will do a signal to try to do it on time.
Okay, thank you very much, Fernando. Taking advantage the translation services, I'm going to do my presentation in Spanish. Creo que funciona, ¿no? Está funcionando. Perfecto. Ok. Bueno, muchas gracias, Fernando, por la presentación. Efectivamente, yo soy Gema Ramírez y formo parte del grupo de investigación dentro del proyecto de InnovaConcrete de la Universidad de Cádiz, SSH, o Social Science and Humanities. Y nuestro trabajo a lo largo de este proyecto ha ido, bueno, desde sobre todo en términos generales, un análisis sobre la percepción social existente o una aproximación sobre la percepción social existente relacionada con este tipo de edificios, ¿no? tan peculiares. Sí. Okay. Okay. Ah, okay. Okay, well. Okay. Now, well, my English is not so good, but well, I will try. And sorry about my English in advance. Okay. Well, I'm going to start. our focus, our approach in our study is based on the importance of services or social uses about the cultural heritage as an engine for development. So when we perceive the cultural heritage as an engine for development about the social uses, there are a lot of opportunities about this use. For example, the reinforces cultural identity, the sensitive and tolerance, the needs and demands of society, the increased means, tools, awareness, even the democratization of cultural property. But of course, the tourist use or the use or the bad use of buildings, whatever the kind of the building, also include a lot of consequences about these uses. For example, the low quality employment, or the folklore of fossilization of the building, degradation of traditional dynamics, and so on. It's like the relationships between the cultural manifestation to convert into a tourist product without or not considering the social uses. When we considering the social uses, the benefits provided by buildings from these cultural manifestations, we can obtain a lot of benefits from these buildings. So, after the wonderful speech from Celestino and Susana Landrove, I can't speak about this kind of buildings, but it's true that along our works during the project, the InnovaConcrete project, we have perceived through the survey process that we have carried out, that the perception of society related to this building, it's not so good. So I'm going very fast here. Mainly, we have detected that the perception about society of this building is like that the aesthetic or historical aspect or architectonical aspect is not valued by them. So in this sense, we have carried out some process surveys. In the general term, the general survey about the perception of concrete-based cultural heritage, and then a survey to case-specific. In this case, it's the Elogio del Horizonte, Eduardo Torroja Institute, and the Zarzuela Hypodrome. Through these surveys, we have obtained several results. We established 4 different hypotheses. 4 different hypotheses through this survey design that related are: the modernist buildings are perceived by society as an important beyond their use value, regardless of their age, gender, and origin. This is related to the profile of use of the respondents. The people over 44 years old don't recognize the symbolic and formal value of modernist constructions, giving precedence to their use value compared to people under 44 who do. The level of information and knowledge about modernist building or about this kind of building favors their positive appreciation and a better valuation. And the last, encouraging and creating useful and attractive facilities and services in buildings increases their use value and promotes their symbolic and formal value. Okay, in these 4 hypotheses in our report, you can find deeper information about these 4 hypotheses. So if you are interested, just tell me, and I can share all the information you want. So I'm going very fast here. In this slide, you can see some of the results obtained in this survey process. But in general terms, the main results that we have obtained from this survey process, it's maybe reflect in these comments. For example, these comments are from the several respondents, and remarks mainly the value of the uses and functions of the buildings, the importance of the of the functions of this building, and not so much the history or architectural, historical, or aesthetic issues or aspects about these buildings. So the main conclusions, the first one, for instance, the lack of appreciation of the buildings evaluated as examples of modernist constructions. The results also show that historical value is the most important as opposed to aesthetic value, which was evaluated less highly. And the last one is the analysis of use and symbolic values. More in-depth quantitative and comparative analysis are necessary. It's important to say that to try evaluate this kind of aspects, also so abstract and difficult for many people, it's difficult. So the results are compared with a methodology we have developed in this project. We have to try to answer what are the benefits that this building provides to society. Why is its conservation important? So in this sense, we have developed a system, an ITEC HW, that is innovative tool for the enhancement of concrete heritage based on the heritage and well-being, that is about a management tool, a monitoring system, and an information tool that provide information about the importance of the uses and services of the buildings in order to provide benefits to society. With this argument, with this approach, we intend to say to manager, to owner of the building, that if you change some things related to the services of the building, you can improve the orientation of the building and provide more benefits to society. And from the socio-economic perspective, will be better. So in this slide, you can see some of the figures, of the pictures of this methodology. We have developed, I don't know if you say, okay. We have developed, it's like a methodological proposal. It's like a guide for users, for interested users, about the summary of this method, of this tool. And then we have developed a website host in the InnovaConcrete website, a decision-making tool within the decision-making tool with this methodology. In the project, we have applied this methodology in the case studies of the project, as you can see in this slide. Okay, I have not a lot of time, but I would like to explain you a bit the results obtained by these processes. But maybe it will be more interesting show you the website. ¿No, Fernando? ¿Mejor enseño la página web o ya no? Vale, okay. Go ahead. Perfect. So the main results obtained throughout the project are, well, the socio-economic study of the social perception, that I said before, the theoretical and practical approach to tourism evaluation of cultural heritage based on ecosystem services, that is the tool I have said before, the design of the evaluation tool integrated in the DMT platform, the IP registration of the tool, the application of the tool in the 8 study cases, and also in other cases in the province of Cádiz, the elaboration of my PhD thesis or doctoral thesis with international mention, the constitution of H&W Consulting, that is the spin-off from University of Cádiz within the InnovaConcrete project, and the publication of 4 scientific articles and 6 communications to specialized congresses. In this slide, you can see some of these publications. Upcoming activities, I'm going very fast. Validation of the tool is necessary to carry out in more case studies for updating and monitoring, the transformation of H&W Consulting into a spin-off, and the creation of an APP with the tool for an application more or easier. The dissemination campaign in public and also private institutions. And the end, for conclusion, the measures to undertake after the end of the project or under study is the presentation to Navantia of the application of our method in the LDK Museum here in the province of Cádiz, very nice place. The discussion with the Ministry of Tourism of Morocco in order to apply this method in the Tanger-Tetuan region in the protectorate buildings from the Spanish. The dissemination and a good reception of the tool in tourist destination in different municipalities in the province, and to continue developing this method in order to improve it, in order to updating with different aspects. That in this case, I take advantage for thanks to all the partners and thank especially Susana Landrove, my partners from TechEdge, and all of you for all your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for adjusting the time. And well, we will continue with Blasek Siarkowski, that he is going to present the results of the study of Warsaw Ochota Station case study, an example of post-war concrete heritage in Central Eastern Europe. And Blasek is assistant professor at the University of Łódź in Poland, and he is our historian in the project. Blasek. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
I will give you a signal.
Okay.
When you get around 8. Okay?
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. At first, I have to say that I would like to invite, in the middle of my presentation, my colleague from University of Łódź, Mariusz Sokołowicz, who is responsible for part of the significant part of our survey on post-war concrete-based cultural heritage in Central and Eastern Europe. So, I will start with some general outlook on the problem. We limited our survey to the Central and Eastern Europe because, of course, of our origin, but also because some processes in post-socialist countries are really clearly visible. And this is, for example, post-war reconstruction and post-war modernization processes in socialist countries, and also the relations between architecture and politics. As you can see, in different periods, because those buildings represent different decades, concrete as a material could be a part of modern structures, very modernist, avant-garde structures, but also something more let's say, classical, like this socialist, realistic sculpture of the miner during the Stalinist period. And then we analyzed different types of structures, different types of construction. Of course, our survey was based on the research Docomomo, with our small help, has made. And we figured out that something which is very typical for the subject we are dealing with are multifamily housing with the use of prefabricated constructions as this tool for modernization. Same with thin shell structures, which are quite important sign of modernity in Central and Eastern Europe in late 50s and in 60s, and mass concrete here as an example of a monument dedicated to the victims of the World War II and the Holocaust. So, we limited our focus to the thin shell reinforced concrete structures. And of course, this is nothing new. We know this type of constructions, for example, from Zarzuela Hippodrome and from interwar period. And Polish architects in the 50s were, or Soviet architects or Lithuanian architects were really aware of what was being made behind the Iron Curtain, because this curtain was not so strong as it seemed. So you can see press or architectural journals from 60s, and then implementation into real-life structures. And those dynamic reinforced concrete shells were often used in architecture of movement as this dynamics and this concept of overwhelming the rights of the laws of nature was somehow connected with, as an idea, connected with the speed, with the movement. And we decided that quite important and interesting assets are commuter line railway stations in Warsaw, designed by a pair of architects in mid-50s, but then because of the political reasons, they weren't allowed to build this type of avant-garde constructions. So they had to wait a few years, and finally in 1963, they completed the series of 6 small pavilions with the same idea but different shapes. And finally, we have chosen 2 of them. One was the InnovaConcrete case study. Another one was our case study. It was Warsaw Ochota Station with this fine finished structure with the shape of hyperboloid parabolic shape, raised in early 60s and used with its primary functional program till now. And I think we can move to second part of our survey, which after this historical architectural analysis was focused on the value of the building and measuring this value.
So the most important thing is the context that was presented by Błażej. As you can see, from Poland we have quite interesting cases. We have very, very huge example of architecture, which is Centennial Hall. We have quite rather small objects that are very good for taking some samples, for example. And they are still in use. They are in use as a train station. So this use is very functional. So what we proposed is, maybe I will start also with Hema just presented, just showing the decision-making tool for something that is, let's say, already considered as a heritage. We took as an example something which by the broader public is not considered so much as a heritage. So when we have the discussion, if there is more use value or non-use value, so in case that some object has use value, this is prevailing, the second one, the non-use value, we can say that it has some economic potential. If the non-use value, this heritage value is bigger, we started talking about the heritage, and there is not so much discussion about treating is it heritage or not. The problem is with this third example, when something is ambiguous. It's something that people are using on the daily basis as these train stations. Some of them, especially architects, especially conservatory people, know that this has some kind of value as a concrete heritage of the 20th century, but not everyone. So our challenge was to take into consideration how to try to measure, how to capture the value of something like this. And we decided to make it like a, let's say, 3-stage approach. It's a combination of quite well-known approaches, actually, but combining them together, I think it's something a little bit innovative when we are taking into account something that is, let's say, as I already mentioned, ambiguous architecture. The first stage was some kind of questionnaire, but what was important for this questionnaire was the kind of questions we were asking, actually. So we are trying to ask about the WTP, willingness to pay for something. We are trying to show people some scenarios. It's a kind of what if. What if the station is just renovated? What if the station is some kind of small galleries open there, art gallery? What if we convert into a shop? And the question was, how much would you pay in terms of taxes, for example, or in terms of rent if we propose something like this? Then, of course, we asked people about making some kind of hierarchy of these scenarios, and we started to compare statistically this hierarchy with this willingness to pay. And what came out was that, firstly, just showing people that the object can be different, used in the different way that is used today, it's enough to make people will to pay more for the object. But this was the first stage. The second stage was to confront what people said during the questionnaire, showing like this, like the most popular scenario was just renovation, with what experts say. So the second stage was to make a cost-benefit analysis based on data withdrawn from the market, how much would cost the conversion of a station in few potential scenarios. The basic was the renovation, the most, let's say, the less popular was making in the shop, and we have just chosen some in the middle, so 5 of them. So firstly, we have 7 scenarios. We have chosen the most popular and the least popular, which is on the right side, and for them we prepared the cost-benefit analysis, and there is no time to go deeply into it, but what is quite important is what's on the left. We tried to use some kind of approximation of non-use value, like, because in the cost-benefit analysis you have to take into account like any kind of cost and then any kind of benefit should be monetized. And how to do it? We try to just assume some kind of income that is growing because the station is getting more popular among the public. So it's more possibility to make new posters, magnets, albums with this station, with the silhouette of the station, with the pictures of the station, something like this. Using this, we moved to the last stage. So the first was this questionnaire among the public. The second was the cost-benefit analysis. And the last one was the Delphi panel. So we have chosen 21 people. Actually, we tried to choose more, like around 30, but 21 agreed to take part in this. These were architects, city planners, but also real estate managers, property managers having this more business-oriented approach, and asked them similar question, but a little more simple than the first stage. The question was just make a rank of the scenarios. And this is like first and second round. What is quite interesting, the second round was very different than it was not very different than the first one. So these experts are not changing their mind so much. The main conclusions, of course, we are open for some, time is over, for some questions. But what are really the most important conclusions? The first, that this is like a little bit different that was for these cases from the presentation. In case of this station, age does not determine the perception of value so much. There are many reasons of them. I have some hypotheses on this. I can discuss it with you later. But what is quite interesting, the knowledge about the heritage site significantly influences its perceived non-use value. Question is how we ask about this knowledge. So we are showing during the questionnaire the silhouettes of the station and ask people, do you recognize this station? And then make a correlation between people recognizing the silhouettes and responding the question. Not recognizing the silhouettes, recognizing the question. We ask also, do you know what time the station was built? And there are some people who knew that, some people who didn't know that. And we make correlations between them. So the more people knew about the date of construction of the station, the date of this opening, or the more people knew the silhouettes, the more value they were giving to this non-use value of the station. Non-use, let's say, the more pro-heritage scenarios. What is quite interesting, not going deeply to the rest of the responses, is, you know, the process of asking people is already the promotion of the object. So when you start asking people about how much would you pay, what would you do with that if this is small art gallery open there, for example, it's enough to make people start thinking that something better, something different, something more value-oriented can be inside, that this is really some kind of monument, even if this comes from the time that are quite ambiguous for people, because there are still association with the communism time. I think that's enough, because the time is over. If you have any questions, we are open. Thank you very much.
tech partner that are going to present the ICT tools that we have developed in the project. So, Pablo, no? Pablo Asenjo, that is his first time in a InnovaConcrete meeting, is going to present it. Lo tienen. Nada, Pablo, cuando quiera.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pablo Asenjo. I come from TechEdge Group, Spain. I was with my colleague, Roberto, but unfortunately, he had to leave because he was missing his train otherwise. And, well, some of you were here, well, you were on at the university yesterday, so you got to know one of our tools, that is the decision-making tool. And today, I would like to present you two other tools that we made. Now, there are two main problems that were identified. The first one is that concrete doesn't always have the visibility that it deserves. And people don't get to know the monuments. Maybe they are living nearby, some of them, and they still don't know anything about these structures. So we thought that it's pretty important to give them visibility to make them known to the general user, let's say. Another problem that we found was that heritage is not always really taken care of, and it really deserves some care, some resources in order for it to maintain its value. So we addressed all of this with different tools. The first one that I'll be showing you is the virtual tool. So this is a tool that we can use to get to know the beauty of our monuments. So let's take a look at it. So you can access this on the InnovaConcrete.eu website, and you'll find the virtual tool right there. Can you see my screen? Yeah, perfect. Okay. So here at the top, you'll see virtual tool. You just have to click there, and you'll access the tool. So let's take a look, for example, at the Elogio del Horizonte. Okay, and this is how the tool works. You can click anywhere. You can drag once you are clicking to move around. You can click the arrows as well to move. And you'll find that there are some red dots, black dots right here with an eye inside. If you click any of them, you'll get more information on the monument. So for example, I click here and I will learn about the process of building this monument in particular. Okay, so the information is displayed on the left. And depending on where you are, you can move around with the arrows as we saw before, and there will be different points of information right there. Now, the second tool that we made was the 120th website. So this is a tool so we can get to know our surroundings, okay? We can easily learn about our heritage through this website. So same as before, if you go to the 120th website, you'll find the map tool. Okay, it's right here. So you just have to click there, and you'll see on the right, there are some results. You can type in here to find a very specific monument. So for example, you write crematoriate, and it'll be filtered right here. If you click on the map, you can still move around. You can zoom in, zoom out. And the map will be always adapting dynamically to what you see. So for example, you click in Lithuania, you'll find there are two monuments. And by clicking them, you'll get more information on each of them. So if you click the name, you'll get to a different website where you can learn a lot about this very specific monument, such as, for example, the state of conservation. So these were two of the tools. The third one, Gemma addressed a bit before. Okay, there is the DMT web tool, the decision-making tool. Just to take a look at it very briefly, you can find the form at the top. You fill the information in the form, you get some results, such as the ones you can see at the bottom and on the right. And you can download these in forms. This is very useful in case you want to know the touristic potential of any kind of structure. And there lies one more question. So what now? What can we do nowadays? There is a future full of possibilities. And just to give you some ideas, we could use, for example, augmented reality to get to know more about our monuments. We could address the problems that we saw before. For example, getting more people to know these monuments through augmented reality or even virtual reality. Or we could even use artificial intelligence to get to know the current state of our monuments without having to fill in any data. So there are lots of possibilities, and we should really take advantage of all of them. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Hope you enjoyed my presentation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Nice presentation, Pablo. Well, if somebody wants to ask a question or do an intervention, it's your time. If nobody wants to ask anything, or we can ask at the networking directly to the partners involved, we are finished. So, Maria, if you want to say anything.
Yes, I want to say thank you very much to all the partners involved in social activities. Today was the day for social activities. Tomorrow we'll have a technical day full of information regarding materials, regarding the evaluation of the case studies. But today was one important part of InnovaConcrete project. And we have different activities. Thank you very much to all the partners involved today in the first time in Cádiz and also here in Jerez. And I want to say thank you to Bodegas, to the Bodegas Tío Pepe, to Miguel Revuelta, and to all people organizing this day. I want to say sorry about the inconvenience regarding to the technical problems, but it's very difficult, it's very hard to prepare two different scenarios to go for the meeting in Cádiz and next in Jerez. And I want to say thank you very much to all people from my group, from Cádiz, because you organized everything very well. And okay, the conference and the day was nice and was a success. Just to say, I don't know if you don't have any question, any feedback, but I think it's very interesting, the approach from Gemma and Manolo, and the approach from people from Wood, Marius, and because I think it's very interesting to study, to analyze the activities around the concrete, historic concrete, and the perception of the people regarding to these monuments. And so I want to say also that I was very happy to work with the company, with the Cadiz, and they carried out a wonderful work with different activities, with different tools to know, to have more information about the case studies as a great example of the historic concrete. And finally, I want to say again, thank you to Docomomo, a very nice conference from Celestino, and also Susana, wonderful selection of the 100 monuments. And I hope that this nice selection will report in the next future to another people, to another, we create another social activity regarding to these monuments, because they are very nice, very outstanding examples, outstanding buildings, explaining the history of our of 20s of the 20th century. And okay, that was a very nice and very important day for InnovaConcrete, because today presented also the documento of the Cádiz. Thank you very much again to ICOMOS for this document, and this only the beginning of the work regarding to the historic concrete. We're going ahead. Thank you to all people working in this topic and presenting today the results from InnovaConcrete. Thank you very much. And just now, I suppose we have the buses to come back to.
Yes, we have to go.
Cádiz.
We have to
Thank you.
find the path to go to the bus.